The land is already quiet when you arrive. Not silent, just settled in the way places become settled when nothing nearby is trying to prove itself. Heat rests over the ground in a thin, wavering layer, blurring the hard line where stone meets air. Dry grasses bend as the wind passes through them, each stalk moving on its own schedule. Your boots press into pale soil that gives just enough to remind you of your weight. Your canteen bumps once against your hip, then again. Not empty, but light enough that you're aware of it. The path you're following isn't marked. It doesn't need to be. It's one of those routes that exists because people kept walking it until the land stopped arguing. Stone gives way where feet have gone before. Brush leans back slightly, as if remembering hands. Nothing points forward. Nothing tells you to hurry. Ahead, the hillside rises in a long, uneven slope. Rock breaks through the surface in places, dark and smooth, like the land once softened here and then decided to hold its shape. There's a structure tucked into the base of the hill. You don't notice it all at once. It doesn't announce itself. It simply becomes visible. Stone walls, low, thick, a timber roof darkened by years of sun and wind. Shade gathers around it naturally, deeper and cooler than the air beyond. As you step into that shade, the world changes. Not dramatically, not cooler exactly, just gentler. The edge of the sun dulls. Your shoulders drop without asking permission. Your breathing shifts, deepening by a fraction. There's a bench built into the wall, worn smooth in the center. A ceramic jug rests on it, beaded with moisture. A tin cup sits upside down beside it. No labels, no instructions. The kind of setup that assumes you know what to do. You pour water. The sound is soft, contained. The cup is cool in your hand. When you drink, the water tastes clean, faintly mineral. It settles you in a way that goes beyond thirst. Above the bench is a board. Not polished, just wood that's learned how to hold nails. Several notes are pinned there with smooth stones and old iron tacks. Most are faded, edges curled, ink softened into suggestion. One note stands out, not because it's flashy, because it's newer. The paper still holds its shape. You step closer and read slowly, not rushing. The note doesn't explain itself like a warning. It reads more like a courtesy, a mention of a hollow beneath the hill, of water that flows year-round, of plants growing without sun, of animals that were not expected to be there anymore. It doesn't list names. It doesn't boast. At the bottom, written smaller, move slowly. Don't startle what lives below. Leave paths open. You read it again and again. Not because it's complicated, because it feels like something that works better if you let it sink in. Behind you, wood shifts against stone. A door opening. Soft. Unforced. You turn. A caretaker steps into the shade. They move the way people do when they've learned not to rush in this place. Practical clothes. Dust on their hands. No insignia. No hurry. They glance at the board. Then at you, then at your boots. You're reading it properly, they say. Not approval, just observation. They set down a small bundle on the bench. A lamp with thick glass, a coil of rope, a piece of chalk worn smooth at the edges. They arrange the items carefully, then stop touching them. Most people skim, they say, then ask questions the note already answered. They nod toward the hillside. The garden doesn't care for that. You don't ask what they mean by garden. You already understand enough to wait. You sip water again. The shade feels steady. The wind beyond the wall moves on without interruption. The entrance isn't obvious. The caretaker continues. It shouldn't be. They rest a hand on the stone wall beside them. The hill closes itself if it feels rushed. A pause. Not as a defense, just a preference. They slide the rope closer to you, not pushing it, just making it available. The rope is for memory, they say. The chalk is for turns. The lamp is for your nerves. You lift the lamp. It's heavier than it looks. Comforting weight. The glass is thick, built to last longer than curiosity. One more thing, they add. You look up. If it gets very quiet down there, they let the sentence hang. Not as a warning, as a space. Don't try to fix it. You nod. The agreement feels mutual. When you step back into the sun, the hillside looks the same as it did before. Rock, brush, light. But now you notice a darker seam near the base. A subtle break in the stone. A place where the wind cools slightly as it passes. The opening is low, partially hidden by shadow and a fold of rock. Easy to miss if you're walking quickly. Impossible to miss once you're standing still. You stop there. Feel the warmth at your back. The cooler breath rising from below. Your canteen taps your hip once, then settles. You adjust the strap on your pack. The same spot rubs your shoulder the way it's been rubbing all morning. A small, familiar annoyance. The kind that reminds you you're present. Real. You crouch and angle yourself toward the opening. The light behind you stretches thin. The air changes as your face crosses the threshold. Cooler, damp, alive in a quiet way. You pause one last time, not to hesitate, just to listen. Nothing urges you forward. Nothing holds you back. You lift the lamp, take the rope, and move beneath the hill, into the slower air, the waiting stone, and the place where life continues, without needing to be seen. The light changes first, not all at once, just enough that you notice the sun thinning behind you, stretching into a pale shape that no longer reaches the walls. You don't turn around yet. You let your eyes adjust forward. The air inside the opening feels different against your skin. Cooler, not cold. The kind of cool that doesn't push back, just waits. You lift the lamp and bring it closer to your body. This weight steadies your hands. The glass is warm where the flame rests inside. Alive, reliable. The floor slopes gently downward. Not steep, not dramatic. Stone replaces soil a few inches at a time. Your boots sound different here. Duller, contained. Each step lands, then disappears. You move slowly enough that your breathing stays even. Slow enough that nothing echoes sharply. The caretaker's words surface again, unforced. If it gets very quiet, don't try to fix it. So you don't. A few steps in, you stop. Not because you need to, because stopping feels appropriate. You listen. The outside world is already far away. Wind has thinned into memory. What remains is subtle. The faint sound of water moving somewhere below. Not dripping, flowing. You take the rope from your pack and uncoil a short length. Not all of it, just enough. You loop it gently around a protruding stone near the entrance. The stone is solid, old, uninterested in your intentions. You test the rope once with your weight. It holds. That's enough. You draw a small chalk mark beside the loop. 2 short lines. Simple, unmistakable to you. As you continue downward, the passage curves. Not sharply, just enough that the daylight behind you narrows. Then narrows again. You don't rush this part. You let the light fade naturally. When it finally slips out of sight, you don't feel cut off. You feel enclosed, held. The air grows more humid, not heavy, just fuller. Carries the scent of stone and clean water. Something else too, faint, green, alive. You can't place it yet. That's fine. The walls change texture as you go. Rough basalt gives way to smoother stone. Mineral lines thread through it in pale, deliberate paths. Your lamp catches them and softens. The light doesn't bounce here. It spreads. You pause again. Rest one hand against the wall. It's cool through your sleeve. Steady. You notice how your body has already adjusted. Steps shorter. Balance lower. Movements quieter without effort. The passage widens gradually. The ceiling lifts. You no longer need to duck. Your shoulders relax another fraction. The sound of water becomes clearer now. Layered. Gentle. Persistent. You follow the curve until the floor levels out. The change is subtle, but your knees notice it. You stop at the edge of a natural chamber. Not large. Not small. Balanced. You lower the lamp slightly and let the light pool outward. Stone arches overhead, catching the glow and returning it softly. Water threads through the space in narrow streams, clear and unhurried. The sound fills the chamber without echo. The air here feels alive, not charged, not tense, just occupied, as if this space has learned how to hold many quiet things at once. You don't step forward yet. You let your eyes adjust. Plants come into focus slowly. Broad leaves near the water's edge. Delicate growth along mineral seams. Greens deeper than you expected. Blues where light refracts through crystal-veined stone. Something moves. Not suddenly. Not hiding. A small shape near the far stream shifts position. Then settles again. You remain where you are. This feels like a threshold, not a barrier, a courtesy point. You take a breath, then another. You let the space become familiar before you enter it. You place the lamp on a flat stone near your feet. The light steadies. You sit for a moment, not to rest, to be still. The quiet deepens, but it doesn't empty. You become aware of layers within it. Water over stone, air moving through unseen gaps, the soft sound of something breathing that isn't you. Not close, not far, just present. You remember the note on the board. Don't startle what lives below. You smile faintly at how practical that advice feels now. When you stand, you do it slowly. You lift the lamp, angle it downward, and take your first step into the chamber. Careful not to announce yourself, careful not to vanish either, moving at the pace the space seems to prefer. You are below now, fully, and the garden has noticed you. You take another step into the chamber. Then you stop, not because anything blocks you, because stopping feels like part of the movement here. The stone beneath your boots is smooth, worn by water and time rather than feet. It doesn't grab. It doesn't slide. It simply receives your weight and holds it. You shift your stance slightly until you feel balanced. Then you wait. The lamp hangs low in your hand, angled toward the ground. Its glow spreads gently across stone, water, and leaf, never pushing farther than it needs to. The light feels polite, as if it knows it has been allowed in, not invited to take over. Your breathing is steady, slow. You can hear it now, not loudly, just enough to remind you that you are another living thing in this place. The first animal you notice clearly is a bird, small, grounded. Its feathers are soft in color, muted browns and greens that blend easily into shadow and plant. It stands near the edge of the stream, head tilted slightly, one eye reflecting the lamp's glow. It does not fly. It does not freeze. It simply watches. You remain still long enough that the moment stretches, then softens. The bird resumes what it was doing before you arrived, pecking gently at something in the shallow water. The sound is barely there. A tap, a pause, another tap. Farther back, among broader leaves, something moves with a low, careful gait. A small mammal, no larger than a cat, pauses halfway through a step. Its fur is dense, its movements practiced and unhurried. It sniffs the air once, then continues. Reptiles rest on stone warmed from below by slow, constant heat. Their bodies absorb warmth without effort. Scales catch light in dull patterns, nothing shiny, nothing meant to attract. They remain where they are. The garden does not rearrange itself for you. It does not retreat. It does not advance. It simply continues. You take another step, then stop again. The stream runs clear and steady, threading through the chamber in narrow paths that widen and narrow without pattern. The water is impossibly transparent. You can see the rounded stone beneath it, smooth and pale, shaped by patience. Tiny fish drift through the current, not darting, not hiding. Their movement is slow, economical, as if they've learned there is no need to hurry here. You crouch, not low enough to feel small, just low enough to lower your center of gravity. Your knees rest comfortably. Your pack settles against your back. The weight feels familiar again. As you shift, the lamp angle changes slightly. Light reaches farther into the chamber, and then you see it, something larger, still, resting. First, it looks like part of the stone, a curve, a line, a shape that belongs. Then it breathes, slow, even. It is not large in the way stories make things large. It does not fill the space. It does not demand attention. Its size is closer to a large bird, maybe a little more, its body feathered in muted tones that echo the plants and stone around it. A small dinosaur, alive, present, unbothered. Its eyes open, not wide, just enough. They catch the lamp's glow and hold it without reflecting fear. It watches you the way something watches rain begin, aware, not concerned. You do not stand. You do not move closer. You let your posture remain low and open, non-threatening. You lower the lamp just a little, softening the light even more. The dinosaur's head tilts, once, then it settles again, folding into itself like something that has been resting this way for a very long time. The moment feels complete. You let it remain that way. Your task surfaces in your mind quietly, not as urgency, as remembrance. You are here to observe, to confirm, to take only what does not disturb. You reach into your pack and remove the small vial. The motion is slow, deliberate. You hold it still for a moment before uncorking it, letting the faint sound be absorbed by the chamber. You dip it into the stream, just enough. The water slides in without resistance, clear, cold, alive. You cork the vial and wipe it gently with the cloth. Then you put it away. No splashing, no testing, no interruption. You make a few small notes in your mind. Plant patterns, animal spacing, the way light refracts through crystal seams in the stone and spreads instead of concentrates. This place has learned how to share. The sense of presence returns. Not new, just clearer. Not centered on the animals. Not on you. On the chamber itself. As if the space is aware of your choices. Your restraint. Your willingness to take less. You consider moving farther in. There is more garden beyond what you can see. You know that. You can feel it in the way water continues out of sight, in the way plant growth thickens near the edges of light. But this feels like the right place to stop. Not because you are unwelcome, because you have been received. You rise slowly, careful not to shift the air too suddenly. You angle the lamp downward again. You take one last look, not to memorize, not to claim, just to acknowledge. Nothing follows you as you step back. No sound changes. No movement rushes. The bird continues its patient tapping. The mammal disappears between leaves without haste. The dinosaur remains where it is, breathing slow and even. You retreat the way you came, step Pause. Step. You stop once more at the edge of the chamber, not to look back, to let the garden close around itself naturally. When you turn toward the passage, the sense of presence does not disappear. It softens, as if the space has returned its attention to its own rhythms. You lift the lamp, take a steady breath, and begin the careful walk back, accepted, undisturbed, and leaving the garden exactly as it was, before you learned how to move within it. The passage feels familiar on the way back, not because it has changed, because you have. Your steps find the stone without searching. Your shoulders know when to lower. Your breathing stays slow without effort. The humidity thins gradually as you move upward, not all at once, just enough that your skin notices. The air grows drier. Cool stone gives way to stone that has remembered warmth. You pause once to rest your hand against the wall, not from tiredness, from habit. The surface is smooth where water once traced the same path over and over. It holds your palm without comment. The chalk mark appears ahead, 2 short lines, exactly where you left them. You don't need to touch it. Seeing it is enough. You follow the curve of the passage. The sound of water fades into suggestion. Then memory. What replaces it is quieter still. The sound of your own movement. Boots settling. Fabric shifting. Breath moving in and out like a tide that no longer needs watching. You turn off the lamp when the natural light begins to return. Not suddenly. Just when the flame feels unnecessary. The cave doesn't resist the change. It releases you at its own pace. The opening appears ahead as a soft shape rather than a doorway. Light spills in without brightness. You crouch instinctively, passing through the low space without thinking about it. And then the air changes again. Warmth touches your shoulders. Dryness replaces humidity. The faint scent of stone and plants gives way to dust and sun-warmed grass. The hillside is quiet, exactly as you left it. You stand for a moment just outside the opening, not looking back, not moving on yet. The seam in the stone already feels less obvious, already learning how to blend. When you step away, the structure comes back into view. Stone walls, timber roof, shade pooled patiently beside it. The bench waits, the jug of water still beaded with moisture. The caretaker is there, seated in the shade. They look up as you approach, not expectant, just aware. Their eyes move briefly to your hands, then back to your face. They nod once. Nothing else is needed. You pour water again. Drink slowly. The taste is the same, but it settles differently now, deeper. It's still growing, the caretaker says after a moment. Not explanation, acknowledgement. You sit on the bench and let the shade hold you. The wind moves through the grasses beyond the wall. Dust drifts, then settles. Nothing presses forward. Nothing lingers behind. When you stand again, the hillside looks ordinary. Rock, brush, light. No sign of an opening. No hint of what rests beneath. And that feels right. You shoulder your pack. The strap rubs the same familiar spot. The canteen taps once against your hip, then grows still. You follow the unmarked path away from the hill. Stone gives way to soil. Brush leans back into place after you pass. The land resumes its quiet shape. The heat shimmers faintly above the ground. Dry grasses bend as the wind passes through them, each stalk moving on its own schedule. The sky feels wide, unhurried. You arrive without announcement, not at a marked place, not at a destination, just a stretch of land that has learned how to hold still. Your boots press into pale soil. Your breath moves easily. Your canteen bumps gently against your hip. Not empty, but light enough that you're aware of it. And beneath the hill, out of sight, unbothered, and continuing without pause. The garden remains,